Good morning. Welcome back to the Red Mic. Glad you're here. Happy Wednesday. Today's red mic message, the $5 birthday, when you're dealing with perceived generosity versus the actual intent. My inbox filled up this month with birthday emails, free desserts, $5 off. Your birthday treat is waiting. Um, Sometimes there wasn't anything in there, just, happy birthday. That's what I got from, a bourbon company. I'm not going to throw them under the bus, but basically like, hey, happy birthday. Here's some recipes you can use our bourbon with. um, and don't get me wrong. I appreciate the well wishes. I really do. And yes, I had a great birthday yesterday. I am not anti free dessert. I'm not above a good deal. I used one of them last night. I got $10 off at Tony C's. And we had good service, so we tipped the waitress a good percentage on the non-discount rate, so don't worry about that. And I understand that businesses are in the business of doing business. But if you read past the headline on the email, you start to see some patterns underneath it. Use it this week with purchase, dine in only, excludes this, not valid with that, limited time. It's particularly the ones that are only valid on your birthday. I mean, there were probably 4 or 5 that were valid on my just valid on my birthday. If I was gonna use all of those, I'd be bouncing all over town, and who's got time for that? It stops feeling like a gift and more like a nudge, like, "Hey, come on, come spend some money." It's a transaction wrapped in a birthday card. I read years ago in a sales magazine about this high-performing car salesman who had a pretty simple technique. He sent birthday cards to his customers, not just people that bought from him, even service customers who hadn't. But he didn't care if it was actually their birthday. In fact, he actually preferred if it wasn't their birthday, because if the card showed up on a random Tuesday in October and they've got a March birthday, it really didn't feel automated. It didn't feel like a database trigger. It felt like, wow, he thought of me. He got it wrong. Not, this is a marketing list with all of my data. Just a moment of unexpected connection. And there's a difference there. One is the perceived generosity designed to look like a gift, but built to drive your behavior. The other is actual generosity, small, simple, real. One follows a calendar, the other follows intent. Reminds me of my best friend, Joe. We had a standing tradition. He started it. We started doing this in like 7th, 8th grade. I forget. He would give me a birthday card in April and it'd have a $5 bill inside. Simple, perfectly appropriate for, people of that age. And every single time he'd say, you can give that back to me in July. His birthday is July. No expiration date, really, no conditions, no fine print. And also reminds me of a Jeff Foxworthy joke. He says, women send cards to each other for no reason. Thinking of you cards. And then he goes into this joke, says, Dear Ned, I was in the garage the other day and I saw an oil stain that reminded me of your head, your friend, Bud. That's men. That we don't do thinking of you cards, but we do have connections like that. The $5 card, consistency, thought, relationship. Now in the workplace, you see this divide play out every day. Leaders who say, we appreciate you before they pile a whole lot of work on your plate. Organizations that say we value our people as long as it fits inside a quarterly target. And then once it doesn't, you get that, bad message or bad email saying, because of company conditions, blah, 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 whatever it is. You know, there's plenty of birthday emails in the workplace and, people know the difference. They may not say it out loud, but they feel it because authenticity is not about size. It's about intent. A small, genuine gesture delivered at the right moment or even an unexpected one will land a lot harder than a perfectly timed, perfectly engineered campaign. I mentioned, Facebook making you feel like a rock star. I mean, I got 200 and something emails and good wishes and posts on my, and private messages and everything. And that's great. I even the ones that were belated saying, "Hey, happy belated birthday." Those are all of that is fantastic because they took the time. They said, "It's Patrick's birthday. Got to tell him happy birthday." Even my friends who still call me Pat. And speaking of my best friend, we don't do the cards anymore, but he called me last night. My wife and I were on our way to Tony C's to get some Italian food. Great place, by the way. It's in the Hill Country Galleria. Highly recommend it. You know, if the timing is off, that might even make it seem more real, you know? No algorithm, no trigger, no system, just a person saying, "Hey, I thought about you. Happy birthday." Now, people can feel the difference. They know innately, I think, when something is genuine or when it's just dressed up to look that way. You don't build trust with fine print. You don't build loyalty with expiration dates, and you don't build relationships with offers that only work if the other person spends more money. So give the $5, send the card, pick a random Tuesday, mean it. Intent, remember, intent matters more than the presentation. People recognize authenticity a lot faster than you think. Generosity with strings isn't generosity. If it requires fine print, it's probably not a gift. And those small gestures consistently delivered, that's how you're going to build the real relationships. Real appreciation doesn't need a trigger or a deadline. And that's today's Red Mike message. Hope you found it interesting. Hope you found it helpful. I hope that you'll give me a like, a follow, and a share. Drop me a line in the comments. Let your friends know, hey, I've been listening to Red Mike messages. I like it. You know, he's a guy that, he shares life and other lessons that he picked up from his 25 years as a public servant, 16 years as a youth football coach and scouting volunteer, 10 years as a mediocre athlete with a whole lot more heart than actual physical ability. I think you'll like him. So listen, I mean it. It's coming from the heart. I'd appreciate it if you'd do that. Have a great day. Have a good rest of the week. Happy hump day. Happy Wednesday. I'll see you again tomorrow. Probably will not have the red mic with me. In fact, I may be doing it from my phone. Who knows? I love you guys. And until next time, don't forget, as always, life is short. Drink the bourbon. I'll see you.